y'all. So I thought it would be a great time during the quarantine to answer a question that I'm always asked. How do I get into law school? Everybody's journey to law school is going to be different. So you don't need to do the same exact thing that I did to get into law school. Matter of fact, I don't even like telling people what extracurriculars I was involved in, what my LSAT score was, etc. because I don't want people to feel like they need to be a mirror image of me and that's the only way they get into law school, because it's simply not true. There's so many different ways to get into law school. It's all about who you are on paper, how you make yourself stand out from the crowd. And so I'm gonna touch base on that a little bit more. I came across a couple of YouTube videos and people were talking about how, like, if you want to work at a big law firm, you should try to go to a top law school. There are some perks going to a top law school. Obviously, the name holds weight. However, that's not the only way to get to your dream job, whether that is big law or whether it's something else. Life is a crazy journey and you never know who you're gonna meet. You can randomly meet someone who can completely change the path of your life. So I think there's a mixture of hard work and luck that goes into everybody's journey of success. Keep that in mind. Don't stress yourself out too much. Even if you don't get into the law school of your choice, you can still go on to have a successful career because the future really is what you make it. With all of that being said, I'm gonna get straight to the point. First and foremost, your undergraduate grades. Undergraduate grades are important. There's a myth that you need to be a political science major to go into law school or to pursue a law degree, and that's simply not true. You can literally major in whatever you want, and I would suggest that you major in something that makes you happy. When I was previously a bio major, I got a couple of grades that I wasn't proud of. Early on, I got a C and a C minus. And so that really hurt my GPA. But once I changed my major to English, I literally only got A's. Like, school was a breeze. Obviously, law schools were able to see that my grades on my transcript got better as school progressed. I would say just focus on majoring in something that you enjoy and doing your best in those classes so that admissions committees can see, like, okay, this student can excel academically. Second thing, extracurricular activities. Me personally, I don't necessarily like telling people what I did because it's not the most traditional path for other people. Like, I was a student athlete, I was on the mock trial team, I was involved in a host of extracurricular activities, from pre-law fraternities to having founded an organization to address power-based sexual violence on the campus of Florida State University. I basically did it all while I was there. If I were to give you any advice, I would say join a club that you're interested in. Whether it's some form of student government or whether it's a club that addresses power-based sexual violence, join something that you're passionate about and then be involved. And then the second club that I would recommend that you join is a community service-based organization. I think that that would help you not only show that you're interested in this organization, but it would help you accumulate community service hours, which looks great to law schools because it looks like you're doing work inside the classroom and outside of the classroom. The third thing I want to talk about is your LSAT score. I know this freaks a lot of people out. You want to do your best. You want to get the highest possible LSAT score that you can, and I completely understand it. But if you don't, it's not the end of the world. I would say if you have a higher GPA, you can probably afford to get a lower LSAT score, like lower on the 150s. If you have a lower GPA, you probably want to shoot for a higher LSAT score to really balance that out. However, if you have a lower GPA, and when I say lower, I'm saying like maybe a 2.8 and to a 3.3 or 3.4. If you have a GPA in that range and you were super involved and you didn't do that well, you have about an average LSAT score, I would say that doesn't count you out. Still apply to the school of your dreams. Obviously have safety net schools to prepare yourself just in case you don't get into the school of your dreams. I think what people fail to do is they fail to try and they fail to apply, and you'll never know unless you try. If you want a certain path of success, the future is yours to create, so you can still get to that end goal, not having gone to what is seen as like the top schools in the US. For example, when I applied to UF, I think we were ranked 48 and now we're ranked 24, which is insane. So we are one of the top 25 law schools in the United States, and we're probably just still getting better. And so had I made a decision to go elsewhere based on the lower rank at the time, I would not be about to graduate law school without any loans. I will be graduating without debt. The school that I was strongly considering was in Washington, D.C. And I know that it would have been super expensive to not only attend the school, but to afford the cost of living in Washington, D.C. So I think I made a wise decision simply for me. And look, we're a top ranked law school as well. So like I said, there's things for you to consider, and I just don't want you to take all your cards off the table simply because of the name of the school or the rank of the school. The fourth thing to consider, your personal statement. You want to make sure you highlight what makes you unique, what makes you you, and your personal statement is where you'll be able to do so. In my personal statement, I wrote about a few things. I really told a story. Always start your personal statement with a story. I told the story about the lawyer who came to my school to speak. You saw my last video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was my first paragraph, so it grabbed the attention of the reader. And then I went into my personal struggle with my biology major and switching my major. I went into personal family struggles. We were dealing with some family issues that related to what was going on in the climate of our country at the time. And I ended with a summary of what organizations I would be a part of if I were to get into that particular school. And I did that for every single school. So I went through the website and I went through orgs that I would be interested in, and I spoke about that. Talk about your life, talk about your experiences, highlight certain aspects of your life, but also talk about the school and what you can do for the school and what they can do for you, how they're going to enrich you, because that's what people want to hear. They want to hear how you'll be involved and what they could do for you, why you will be a best fit for their university. Fifth thing I want to talk about is your diversity statement. This was a personal struggle for me. I did not want to write a diversity statement at all, but my mentor at the time was like, you need to write a diversity statement. Like, people are looking for ways to make their schools more diverse. And I think it goes into their ranking, like their US ranking. So really, it's not just about race or nationality. There are a bunch of things that factor into diversity. It can be gender, it can be sexual orientation. I know for me, it was a struggle because I feel like, oh, like, I'm a Black woman, clearly. Like, why do I have to highlight that? Why do I have to talk about that? And I think it was so hard for me because I hadn't really had certain conversations with myself, you know, as far as who I am, what I like, and what I want. And I think at 2021, it's really hard for you to have those conversations because you're so involved in like school and all the things that really don't matter that you haven't really sat down and thought about what you want and who you are and where you're going. And so I ended up writing about the fact that I'm Haitian. I come from a background of immigrants. Then I spoke about this nonprofit organization that I founded in the Dominican Republic to specifically benefit Haitian Dominican children who were born in Dominican Republic of Haitian parents, but they're unable to get their papers because the Dominican government doesn't view them as Dominican citizens. I wrote about how I see the world from my viewpoint. I don't know if I was able to convey this in past videos, but I'm really, really, really passionate about human rights and human rights violations. I think that we all deserve to have basic fundamental human rights at all levels. The United States is one of the leaders in human rights violations, and I think we all turn a blind eye to that. I'm getting off topic, but yeah, I'm really passionate about that. So I really conveyed that in my diversity statement. You really have to find out what makes you stand out. The sixth thing I want to talk about is your resume. Your resume is really important, and I wouldn't say it's too difficult. Basically, your resume is going to highlight all the things that you spoke about in your different statements. You want to highlight your internships if you had any type of work experience that you've had. You really want to highlight community service. I joined a community service-based organization, so I had a lot of community service hours. I talked about that organization on my resume. I talked about the organization that I founded that addressed power-based sexual violence on the campus of Florida State University. I talked about my experience on the mock trial team. I talked about my experience as a student athlete. So those were some things that were on my resume. Your resume should tell a story. So you need to figure out what your story is going to be. Lastly, your letter of recommendation. I don't think people think about this until like they need one. And I think this is really important because you're always gonna have the best to say. Or you should always have the best to say about yourself, and you should highlight all your, sorry, I burped. I hope that's not noticeable. Oh well. I'm human. But you should always have the best to say about yourself. And so the only way that the law school committees are going to be able to get to know a little bit about who you are without your voice behind it is really through your letter of recommendation. So I would say really get close to those professors that, one, you vibe with, like you just like their energy, and two, that have like a lot of accolades and look really good on paper, because a letter of recommendation coming from someone like that I think looks better. And I could be wrong, it may not matter, I don't know, but I know that's personally what I did. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions for me, please leave it below in the comments. I would love to answer them. I'm here for you if you need anything. Based on the YouTube videos that I have seen of what people have said, I don't think there's one straight and narrow path. I think it's all subjective. It's all based on what you do. So if I could leave you with anything, it would be to enjoy your time in undergrad. I think a lot of people that I've met in law school didn't. Don't focus too much about boosting your resume. Just do the things you love, whether it's 1 or 2 orgs, that's fine. They don't expect you to have had jobs or internships. So do the things that you love, highlight them well, knock your personal statement and your diversity statement out of the park, have a great letter of recommendation, and do your best on your LSAT score, and you will be fine. I will see you and talk to you next time.